eNCA leaders again calling for peace, unity and rebirth. This as the regional conference in Ekurhuleni finally gets underway after several delays. A current chairperson and former Ekurhuleni Mayor Mzwandile Masina is seeking re-election, of course. Where are we on this? Senior reporter Siphamandla Goge joining us for the very latest. Hello to you, Sipha. So conference convening, but I imagine, as we do tend to see at these conferences, still a few issues that need to be ironed out.
Indeed, and those issues include that some delegates are being registered as we speak. We understand that there is quote-unquote pressure on the system, according to the regional task team of the ANC in Ekurhuleni. It's a situation of a delayed conference which was meant to get underway yesterday. Chairs were flying yesterday because there were disagreements. That registration process became so chaotic. In fact, as we are doing this live interview now, I've just spotted TK Nziza, who is the regional secretary of the ANC in Ekurhuleni, together with an NEC member, Mduduzi Manana, having a caucus of some sort as they're trying to deal with those outstanding issues. They have gone to one of the rooms on the other side. But on my left is the conference venue, and delegates are expected to come back and continue with the conference. I'm talking about those delegates that have been registered. The conference is underway. ANC Gauteng Provincial Chairperson David Makura did open the conference, and he had some harsh words for those delegates that are gathered here, saying they need to prioritize the ANC. They must not put their interests ahead of the ANC's interests, simply likening what is happening in this area as or like a war zone, saying if you see heavily armed personnel. But in terms of the issues that are outstanding, some unhappy delegates are complaining about, alleged manipulation of processes, irregularities. They say some branches that were ought to be here are not here. So the registration process is underway, but also the conference is underway. Earlier on, we spoke to the member of the regional task team, Mr. Labati. This is what he had to say about those outstanding issues and the delegates that are being registered.
Because of a large number that came within a short space of time, the production of the text is taking a bit, but every delegate will get an accreditation and come into the conference. Perhaps I must also clarify this issue so that there's no impression created that they are being closed outside deliberately. We had 2 days of a pre-registration and the registration process, and as you were following the conference activities, there was a bit of hesitant from some of the delegates to then register within the 2 days that has been given.
Because they were saying there are some outstanding issues that have not been finalized.
Well, that on its own should not be a condition for them not to register. We work with a final report that is coming from the office of the acting SG. And once that report says these branches qualify, we expect the delegates coming from those branches to then register. The number of branches that must still be dealt with, the conference steering committee, guided by the leadership, agreed that on the sideline of the conference, those branches will be attended to.
All right, so Siphamandla, chairs flying around yesterday, furniture being used to show the anger and frustration of some of the disgruntled members. Is the furniture staying in place today?
Well, for now, the conference has been running smoothly, and I can see some more members of the Provincial Executive Committee of the ANC in Gauteng. They are here trying to have a meeting in terms of getting a way forward and resolving that impasse. I think one of those members is Kusela Digo, former spokesperson to President Cyril Ramaphosa. She's a member of the Provincial Executive Committee, and they are trying to deal with the issue of the outstanding issues here at this conference, because that chaotic registration process yesterday had to be abandoned because the situation was volatile, and today they are still dealing with those issues really. Some branches have been saying their disputes have not been resolved. The regional task team is saying all issues have been resolved, and those are the issues that have to be dealt with by the national leadership of the African National Congress. The ANC chairperson in Gauteng, David Makura, saying, well, all outstanding issues will be resolved definitely. But having some harsh words for the delegates here in the ANC in Ekurhuleni, saying all of them must be ashamed of themselves, because when you walk in towards this conference venue, it's like you are entering a war zone because of the heavily armed private security personnel and the tight security deployment in terms of police deployment here, simply because they're trying to prevent any violence from taking place at this conference. This is what Mr. Makhura had to say.
When you walk around here, you can't think that this is a gathering of the ANC. It's like a war zone. This must make us ashamed as ANC members. The atmosphere and the environment around this conference is like a war zone. I see arms. I see the sort of things that happening around the vicinity of the conference. That says to me, this is not a conference of the ANC. We must be ashamed.
And Siphamandla Messina talking about unification and rebuilding the party, as always, very important as well, not just at this conference, but they need to put their best foot forward ahead of the elective conference proper later this year, don't they?
Indeed, simply because they have lost power in Ekurhuleni, Mzwandile Masina urging the delegates here that they need to work hard to ensure that the party reclaims their lost ground. We'll take a walk and show you what is happening inside, because we were meant to resume with this conference as delegates are making their way inside. Others are not inside yet because they are just coming back from having their dinner. So any minute now we expect them that they will be walking inside the conference venue, which is the plenary. My colleague Joe Komane will come with me as we will show you that this is the inside of the conference venue. Delegates are being urged to come inside so that they can start on time. This conference is delayed. Mzwandile Masina has presented his report as the former chairperson, who is now the regional convener. So what we will do is we will have to go out because this is a closed session. But this is what Mr. Mzwandile Masina had to say earlier on about the issue of reclaiming lost ground in Ekurhuleni, saying the party is undergoing through a number of challenges as we speak. Let's take a listen.
The ANC in Ekurhuleni is currently facing a number of challenges that in many ways reflect the challenges that the organization is confronted with at a larger scale. It has been argued that convincingly that the ANC is in fact faced with an existential crisis, a point at which every essence under question. The existential crisis is not only happening within the ANC, but also within our communities, as they too question whether or not the ANC is still a reliable vehicle to transport them to the national democratic society that they envisioned. It is very easy, when you look at the state of the ANC today, to conclude that nothing can be salvaged. There is no doubt that the ANC is confronted with an existential crisis that threatens to reduce its relevance. Across the country, the organization is hemorrhaging electoral support, and its ideas are ceasing to be hegemonic in society. But this is not the first time the organization has been in its dire strait, as the chair has said.
Well, as the Ekurhuleni Conference continues throughout this evening, good to hear that the furniture is staying in place, at least for the moment. Siphamandla Goge, thank you very much indeed. We'll check in with you a little bit later, I'm sure, here on eNCA for any more developments. Very important conference as the ANC gets ready for that ANC elective conference proper a little later this year.